So for me, I did experience sexual abuse at a very young age.
Yeah.
And so that also contributed to some of the already the anger that I was experiencing, even not really knowing. And as soon as I walk into the place, there's a guy in the corner, and all I know is like, stay away from that person.
Wow.
Immediate. And then twos, I realized that these people are stumbling towards me. And I push my friend out of the way because she's drunk, she's out of it. So I move her out of the way, and my action doing that causes this person to get stuck in me. The bar's behind me, and the same man that I saw in the corner is now stabbing this person to death on top of me, coming down the 401.
Oh, God.
Rain is coming down. I just take the lane, and I mean, that car just went, my truck flipped 5 times.
Good God.
Landed upside down. We land in the truck, and I'm starting to learn about Jesus. And I tell you, because I was seeing things, like I'm there and I'm seeing shadows moving down the hallway and all sorts of things. You're seeing people having all sorts of manifestations and all sorts of because this is a place where by the time you get to the next side where we're in houses and you're seeing the green space, you're digging up, you're out there, they're doing landscaping, they're finding jars with bones and people naming it and all sorts of obia things, all sorts of witchcraft they're doing on the ground.
Uniquely me is uniquely you. Balancing the different hats of life, achieving.
All right, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Guys, this is the place where we basically showcase the stories of our women. I usually used to say only women, but I need to add the men in there because the last couple of interviews, you've seen some men and they have some amazing stories. They're from all over the world. Guys, this is the Canadian edition, and of course, you know, we turn it up around here. Nonetheless, guys, I have with me an amazing woman. Listen, I went to a concert minding my own business, but God likes to pick out the people for me to go to. And so here was this woman on stage ministering, and of course she shared just a little bit, just enough for me to know that she needed to be right here sitting on the couch with me and sharing her story. Guys, I'm talking about Marcel Lambert. I don't know much about her because, you know, I like to get it just like you, fresh right off the rack. So guys, help me welcome Marcel. Marcel, welcome to Uniquely Me.
Thank you so much, Simone. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's beautiful to have you. And girl, you're looking so good.
Thank you.
Well, Marcel, I want you to share with us, you know, who's Marcel? Where are you from? Where we know you from?
Well, I was born here in Canada, raised in Cambridge to West Indian parents. My mother's Jamaican and my father's Grenadian.
I didn't even know that.
So I grew up, the majority of my life was in Cambridge, in that area of the world. And from a very young age, just as I grew up, we grew up in a family that just had Caribbean morals, those good morals, not so much as a church going family, but there was periods of my life that I did go to church, and that's kind of where the seeds began to be planted, I would say.
You know, I'm happy you're going there because sometimes I'll tell you, I grew up in church, and some people back home will call me Pastor Simone, Minister Simone and stuff. But I've always worried about the fact that my children, you know, is the seed being planted? Is it that I need to sit them down and knock them? You need to read your Bible, you need to pray, you need to do this, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm discovering more and more I don't need to do that. I just need to live. You know, tell me for you, what was that like? Because you said, you guys didn't go to church, but somehow the seed was planted. What is it that you attached yourself to, so to speak, that caused that seed to have been planted?
You know, for me, going to church, I would say music was very much at the core. I loved worship. I loved to sing. I did sing, right? As from a very young age. Now, it was something that I very much hid. and later on in my years, you would come to know that I really hid it, and I had to start to walk in that. Yeah. But it always drew me in. And so God had placed people around me that would have asked me to go, that brought us to go. And it right from, you know, a young age into my teens to my preteens, it just happened that way. And the music always drew me in. I loved gospel music. I loved how the worship, and I went to different churches. We went to a Baptist church at one point. We went to an evangelical church, all different experiences. And that, I would say, was always at the core. Now, with me going, I didn't quite understand what God did. I didn't understand who Jesus was, the connection in all of these things, that Jesus died on the cross for me. So all of these pieces were missing, and I think that's where we omit that from home life.
Yeah.
You know, now having a daughter, I always tell her, like, I might not be able to give you all the greatest things in the world, but what I can give you is the gift of salvation through Christ Jesus.
What was life like growing up in Canada? Because like I said, this is a Canadian edition because I'm from
Yes.
Jamaica. What was life like growing up in Canada?
You know what? I would say, like, it's not the same as being in Grenada or in Jamaica in respects of, you know, I got the stories from my parents of we used to go here and we did this and all the things, right? Now, that being said, being a product of West Indian home, it was different than our other counterparts that were born here. So it's almost like you still grew up as a West Indian. You know, I always tell people, like, simple things is, why do we not like cold? We're born here in Canada, but we don't like the cold. Because our parents are going to dress us extra because they're cold.
Right.
So we grew up that way too. We, like, not liking the cold, living in a cold country. There was always just the difference of people would meet you and be like, oh, what's your background? They don't ask you where you're from. They're expectant that you're coming from some West Indian descent. So what's your background? You know that. What's your bratopsy, right? All this kind of thing. And so we were very ingrained in that. And so the culture was still around us. In Cambridge itself, there wasn't a lot of black people when I lived in Cambridge in that day and age. There was like one other family. So my cousins would come down from the States. They would come down from Toronto area and they'd be like, we thought you were the only black people here. Now that was once upon a time. It's changed a lot because housing was a lot cheaper and you have all these people coming from Toronto and different areas. And so it's much more saturated. But in that time, I was like one of the few black people in my high school even.
Wow.
And so it was even growing in that culture and becoming who I was. I think my identity was very much in my West Indian culture more than, and what else would it be in not knowing Christ, right? Now I can say that it's Christ before culture, but at that time it was culture before anything, really, right?
Yeah.
So it was interesting. We grew up in a sense very, once again, all of the morals, all of the things that we should have followed because it was good and they were, it was being kind. And if you really look back at it, these morals really came from scripture.
Yeah.
Even though my parents didn't proclaim it or we didn't grow up praying together or reading the Bible. My parents were involved in organizations. My dad was the president of Grenada Hospitals Assistance Fund, which still exists till today. I was the president for a period of time as well. And so we did a lot of nonprofit activities. We did a lot of fundraising. They had dances all the time so we were the parents and they were cooks. My parents could cook. So they catered all those events and so we would be a part of that. They had games and picnics and we would go to the States to the Black History museums and all these kind of things. So that was a lot lot of our growing up and the core to
community.
Yeah,
the community.
very, very much.
I think that's, if there's anything you'll know about Caribbean people for true, we love community.
Yeah.
We're loud kind of thing, but you know, we love community. We love helping. And I hear that coming out. You know, we're always giving of ourselves, so to speak. We can be a little bit selfish, but we care.
Yes.
You know, we care.
Yeah.
And if I'm sure your mom did, if you brought them a few friends, they would kind of embrace them, if that makes sense. I think so. Yeah, the Caribbean people. But you know, how did the culture, yes, you were the only Black, how did what was happening around you influence you?
You know, I think where it did influence me, it was the things that my parents would expose us to. So like going to the Black History museums and seeing all that stuff. And you saw some raw stuff. I remember we used to go to Chatham to see Uncle Tom's Cabin and things like that. And so they very much, and even still to this day, it's so interesting, the stark difference of how I choose to raise my daughter and how they raised me, because they focused so much on slavery and then the foundation of them, where we came from, and then also like my dad being Grenadian, like it was short knee and jab and all these things, and you're just like, only to find out years like, this is so demonic. Oh my goodness, and I might have upset some people, but it's true. So you know, and so that became who I was, and it. You know, now being in a predominantly white community, there was a lot of anger that started to rise up in me as a result of that, because there was the teaching there of it, but there wasn't a good understanding of first of all, the biblical pieces out of that so that you can see the person for what it is. Still, even now, I have those conversations with them where they just believe like, okay, religion was used for this to happen. And there's all those, you know, conflicts that I have to navigate by the power of the Holy Spirit. And yeah, so I went through a period of life where I just had a lot of anger, and you know, you already saw them as them and then you as you. So we were, there was the divide, there was disunity there as a result of it. As I grew in who I was in Christ, it made me now understand, like now, even recently I had a interaction with a group of women, and I'm like, you know what, I'm a child of God first, before my skin, before my culture, before who I am as a product of a West Indian I'm Christ. I'm seated in heavenly places, right? So when I walk into a place, I'm not thinking that they see my color. I'm walking with the favor of Christ. I'm walking in victory, and that's what I choose to believe over everything else.
Hallelujah. I'm loving that. I'm loving that. But you know, before you got to that place of Christ, you know, we know life, and most of our, again, if we go Caribbean, most of our Caribbean people will tell you we grew up in church, but somewhere along the line we kind of just stray. Almost as if there's something missing and we need to go find it. I mean, now that I'm older and wiser and younger, I'm like, oh, I didn't need to go search, you know, but we do. And the thing is, even if we were to say to our children, because I have a 17-year-old, and I'm trying to say to him, you don't need to chase this, you don't need to chase that. But I realize that no matter what I'm saying, he's still going to go after it. But for you, I know it wasn't always in church. So share with us, you know, that coming up, and then yes, the anger and stuff, but where did you stray? And what did you stray to?
So for me, I did experience sexual abuse at a very young age. And several times. So I first age was 6, again when I was 13, and 2 different people. And at one point it was in the church as well. And so that also contributed to some of the already the anger that I was experiencing, even not really knowing it until much later in my years, the impact that had on me and the trajectory that kind of sent me in my life. When I started going to church, and I think what the diversion became is it was a guy that I met, right? So we know as West Indian parents, like we don't always do a great job of teaching our children about life, about sex, about relationships, about all the things, about the world. In some cases, we were very sheltered. It was just like, we don't smoke, so you don't smoke. We don't drink like that, so you don't drink. And that was it. You don't see me do it, don't do it.
Same way, exactly like that. My mom would say, where you get that from? Right? Where you get that from?
You never said nobody in this house did that. Okay, I get it. But the reality is that there were influences outside of the home. We can see all the things inside, but we have to leave the house at some point, and there's influences. And so even now it's like, how do those now pull you? What direction are they going to bring you in? So by the time I got to 15, I was working at a fast food restaurant. I met this guy that was super persistent and always, you know, just asking me out or asking for the number, all the things. And it took about 2 years before I ever even got into a relationship or even entertained him. We would still go places with him, hang out and kind of stuff. And he just had this flashy life, and all that to find out that it was because he was a drug dealer. So I was already on a trek to go to school. I mean, a couple years after I had my first diploma in computers, and I always worked great jobs. I had it all. But then I got to this place as I was getting into my 20s that I was like, what is the purpose of life? Is it just to work and get married and to have kids? It felt empty. I felt like I had no direction, even though things looked good on the surface. And I feel that some of those pieces were starting to stir up. It was the abuse that I experienced at a young age. It was the relationships that I was entering into. And I just started to fall into a different crowd. The relationship with my parents was deteriorating. There was no longer good communication, and there were so many things that they didn't know I experienced abuse. At first, it was a family member as well, right? And these aren't conversations that we felt even comfortable bringing to our parents.
That's true.
I'm sure like they would have wanted to know. I feel like my mom probably knew, because we went away to Jamaica for like several months, and we came back. I remember her taking me to the doctor and all this kind of stuff, right? But it's like, to be able to say that to them, it's not easy, right? And we grew up to learn how to fear our parents, not to have relationship with them, which is completely different to what we try to do with our kids today, right? So all of those things started to impact me, not knowing why I was even here on this earth. Why do I get up every morning? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And if it's just a job, then okay, fine. I made a job, and I literally could leave a job, go to another one, be making more money, and it was just good and just catch on quickly. It was easy. But I was like, this can't be it. And a lot of the same gifts, the same skills I started to use for evil.
Come on.
The more that I hung out with these guys, I started hanging out with other, you're in the club scene, you're drinking now, I'm smoking, I'm in the dance hall scene, which is even worse. You're out there at night, early morning parties, all kind of nonsense, and you start to rub shoulders with all these different people. And it started with something as simple as like, oh, just go take a drive for me, or they would always refer to me as the good girl, because you had your job, you had your life together for as much. So when you're driving with these guys, most of the time the police would see you, they're not going to bother you, they're not going to stop you, right? And that was the persona that I walked with for a time. And it got to the point that after a while, rubbing shoulders with these guys, learning, because I learned quickly, that it was like I start driving for them, I start going on the road, I'd be working my normal 9 to 5 and then going on the streets with these guys, and they're selling drugs and I'm driving around for them, and I'm making cash doing this. And it was almost like a double life. I started to have this double life, and I was going deeper and deeper into this lifestyle, because it was exciting, there was freedom in it. Now you have all these other people that are affirming what you're doing at the same time too, because they're doing the same thing. Right. And it started to consume me.
Was there anywhere in there, did you feel a tug, pull, something that said, hey, kind of making you hesitant, should I not, I'm getting ready to go, or did you not? I kind of want to understand what was going through your mind. Help us to understand. Because sometimes you hear a person say, there was just, if I just listened to that voice, this wouldn't have happened. Did you at any point in time feel that kind of, I think I need to run?
Man. So there was a time when I remember I went out, and I went to Kitchener. I met with some friends there. We decided we're going to this place. I don't know all these people. I just know, it's like the one person that meets up with all these other people, and you don't know these people, and something's telling you like, something ain't right. And I remember that night I was not drinking, so I was the designated driver. We'd end up going back to Cambridge. We'd go to some bar. And as soon as I walk into the place, there's a guy in the corner, and all I know is like, stay away from that person immediately. I then go outside, do whatever we're doing outside, come back in, and I still see that guy, and everything in my core is like, if there's evil, that is it, right? And I'm sitting inside this place, and I'm watching, and it was so crazy to me. It was one of these surreal moments where it just felt like everybody else inside this place is drunk. I mean, I'm one of the only few people that's not drinking and completely sober. And I felt like I'm watching that person, I'm seeing him interact with someone, and that person that he was actually interacting with followed my vehicle down to the place that we went to. I don't know him. He tried to engage us before, and I was just like, you're so drunk, just don't talk to me, kind of thing, right? We now, I'm watching everything unfold, and as I'm seeing this interaction happen, I'm dancing, and my eyes are zoned in here, and I would stop every time, and it just felt like everything else in the room stopped. Like everyone started to watch my moves, like, why is she stopping? What's happening, right? And then twos, I realized that these people are stumbling towards me. And I push my friend out of the way because she's drunk, she's out of it. So I move her out of the way, and my action doing that causes this person to get stuck on me. The bar's behind me, and the same man that I saw in the corner is now stabbing this person to death on top of me.
Oh God.
And I'm like stuck there. So I'm trying to get out. I run behind the bar. The bartender's standing there and can't even tell this is happening. And he's like, what's happening? I was like, I don't know, but that person's getting hurt. And I look up, and the last time I look, I just see the man, same guy that was following me down, has kids, everything. And he's there in a pool of blood.
Yeah.
And I take my friend and I run. And I'm about to leave, you know, but there's someone else that was in my car that wasn't with me. And I was like, I got to go back. And I knew I should have just left, because by the time I came back, police on the front of me, police on the back of me. It's how much o'clock in the morning. You're one, you know what I mean? Like your parents, they always hear about these things. And of course, like it was a big thing. The guy I didn't find till the next morning that he ended up passing.
Yeah.
And I just remember, you know, I tell that story because I remembered that there was moments where it's just like I knew, and I could sense the presence of evil. I knew not to go near this person. Thank God I never got hurt in the midst of it. But I remembered what my reaction was after that. I still would go places, but it didn't stop me from going places. It made me a different level of aware that I was like, if I'm in here, I need to be near an exit. I want to know my way of escape. Like it just made me I almost feel like I got pulled deeper into that lifestyle in a way, because then you started to have this street sense that most other people don't have, and you're watching certain movements in a way that people don't watch.
Right.
And I still today, there's certain things like that you notice. And it's funny because after I went back to school for social work. And when I go into social work and you're doing these, you know, these clinics, it's like, always have your back to the door. Do this. I'm like, it's the same thing. I'm like, I could have told you that.
Yeah. Wow. But you know, as you said, it pulled you deeper.
Yeah.
What made you still go deeper?
There was nothing else that was the alternative, right? And that was it. When you think that that's your only option, you cling to it, right? Yeah. For me now, my only option can be Christ. I just know that I know that there's no other way. Yeah. So I have to trust in him, and I have to believe that what he says he will do. And there's just nothing else.
Amen. Yeah.
It's tested, right? In this case, it's like, even if you decided that I'm not going to go to the club, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to hang out with these people, what else was there? Right?
Yeah. I really want to haste to get to that point where you really came to know Jesus, but I know something else happened after that, as you really got into this organization, you know. Do you want to share, you know, as you got deeper and more involved, how did that impact your life?
Yeah, so the relationships that I was in were very toxic. I was dealing with different men. The same person would still be kind of in and around in my life, and he was a big part of all of the events that took place before I gave my life to Christ. And I was actually in a very, very bad car accident. I was headed to Toronto, and I remember once again, as a result of people that were not good that I had with me, there was one friend I used to roll with, and she was just rude. She was just disrespectful, you know, and she was that kind of one that you bring them home and be like, don't bring them back. You know? And so I went to my cousin's house, and I was supposed to go down to get my hair done, and she was just disrespectful, and my cousin was like, y'all need to leave. And just stop. It was like, I didn't even get to get my hair done. I just remember driving back home. I was so angry, and I was just upset. And you know, the upset that you don't even know why you're upset, but you should be upset because of the situation of why are you hanging with this person? But you had that ugliness in you too, because you allowed it in. I opened the doorway to that with the people and the things that I was doing. I was not a nice person, right? And it wasn't not that niceness wasn't there, but it was shrouded by all the other things, all the yuck that was there, and that allowed you to come in alignment with people that were not good. And I remember just being angry, and I'm driving, and then I'm close to Cambridge. The rain just starts pouring. I used to drive a pickup truck, and I'm coming down. I'm probably going like 160, 180, coming down the 401. Rain is coming down. And then I'm here, and I was like, I know I'm supposed to be going to Kitchener, but something in my mind's like, no, you got to go here. You're going to Cambridge. You're going to miss the exit. I just take the lane, and I mean, that car just went, my truck flipped 5 times.
Good God.
Landed upside down. We land in the truck. I'm good. Yeah. I should have died in that. I'm pinned in. I can't get out the truck. The door's stuck. There's gas and all sorts of stuff leaking out the back that I can see. And I remember sitting in that car in that moment and saying, God, if you get me out of this, I'll give you my life.
Oh my God. Come on.
And eventually I figured out that, okay, like because of the pressure on the seatbelt, like I realized I got to push myself back in my seat. I was able to undo it, all the things. And yeah, I had to kick that door open myself. There's people outside that are there, but they don't want to come too close to the car. And I kicked the door open, got my friend out, we get out. And I remember just bawling, and the police were already there, and he said, don't even cry, because you should have died. You should not be alive.
Come on.
Right? It would be a year later, because I would still be on the same path, that I would then get arrested. And then at that point is when I gave my life to Christ while I was in prison.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching, this is Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Like I say, guys, I love this. I have not heard this woman's story, and I'm sitting down and I'm trembling. She doesn't even understand. I'm trembling. I'm trembling for two reasons. The fear of what she's been through, but then I'm also trembling because of how God's grace has transcended her life, which we're going to get to.
Yes.
But guys, just wanted you to know, Uniquely Boldly Her, I'm going to put it all up so you will see it shortly. And guys, I definitely want to hear from you. What so far has impacted you from Marcel's life? Are you actually on a similar trajectory? And this is where God has just brought you to. This episode literally just appeared before you, and you're like, God, you are definitely speaking to me. Somehow I feel like that's you. Let me know down in the chat. So Marcel, so you've had this accident. We think you should have had a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But here it is that, again, you're still searching for purpose.
Yes.
And I don't even know if you're searching, because you're thinking that you have found purpose. So you're just running with purpose. If you could give us a synopsis of what led up to the day you were arrested.
Yeah, so it was about a year later. I'm still running with the same circles. Things at home is getting much worse.
Yeah.
And I remember that I went to Montreal for a period of time, and my parents were just like really unhappy with everything. And I end up like, well, I'm just gonna move out of the house.
Yeah.
I had nowhere to go. Let's be real, I had nowhere to go.
Can I tell you something? You're a Caribbean child. That's what we do. We pick up ourselves and we're moving out. We know where to go.
And I didn't, like at that point, like I had a rental car, like all sorts, it was just nonsense, right? Like you look back, it was just madness.
Yes.
I leave. I remember I did secure a place in Kitchener, and at that point it was like just a student housing type situation, and even then I didn't even have money. I wasn't working at that time. You're barely making money, and it was just everything. I just felt like everything was coming to that point where it was going to be so disastrous that God only could have stepped in. Yeah. And so I remember I moved to Toronto because the guy that I had met way back when I was 15, he pops back into life again, because he had a way of just being there and then not being there and being there and not being there. And it was like, it's like you never left, but he's still there. You left me abandoned, man. And so I pick up back with him. He's like, move to Toronto, I love you, and all the things. In that moment, he said all the things that you need to hear. And of course, it's like that swooping in of finally everything is going to come together, because you're just going to have the person that you're supposed to be with, and he really loves you and he cares, and all the things, right? Well, so I decided I moved to Toronto with this rental car that ain't even mine, and all the things that I possess at that time. And I'm literally hopping from like hotel to hotel, and this kind of thing, and money's just running out. I'm using this credit card, like I'm getting maxed out. There was nights where it's like the hotel's trying to run it, I'm running down the back stairs because I know that there ain't no money to cover the stuff, all the nonsense. And this is when because of course he dips out again because he's on the road doing what he does, and it's him somewhere hunkered down selling drugs for weeks on end, right? And his cousin comes to me, he's like, you know what, we're looking for a place for you, you're not getting through, so why don't you just go and take a ride, like this, let's go and do this thing. You're gonna come, you're gonna make money, you're gonna have way more money to get a place for you guys. Right? And they had an idea of where they wanted, because they have a certain base out in Toronto and different areas. And of course the reality of God was saving me, let's be real, not just from this man, right, but also from the reality that this would have been a situation that if we lived in this house, that would have been the house that had all the guns, that had all the drugs, that had all the things, right? It was the base. And so now I'm like, there's no other option. There's no other way. So let me just do this. There's no money. There's nights that I slept in the car, all sorts of craziness, right? And I go and get I didn't even have a passport. They go and they pay. I go and get my passport. They get me a ticket to go to Panama. And I mean, like, I don't even know where Panama is. I don't know what language. I knew nothing about Panama. Apparently, I look like the people there. That's all I know. And then they're like, yeah, just tell them that your grandfather died or something. I was oh, okay. I had, like, because it was like, I was supposed to be out there. It was an emergency passport that we got, right? And so I was only supposed to be there for a few days.
Yeah.
What was supposed to be a few days turned out to be 2.5 years.
Oh my God.
Right? So I get on the plane. Even the guy didn't even know that I agreed to do this because he's out. He's gone. So I see him the day before that I'm going. He's like, are you sure? He's like, this isn't really you. He's telling me this in this moment. This is not you. He's like, the girls I know that go and do this, like, they're rough. They're like this. They're like that. And it's not that I was very much a fighter, but you know what I mean? It's like, this is not you. He's telling me this.
So he knows what you're about to do, and he's telling you this is not your environment, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and that should tell you something, right? And I still am like, okay, no, let's go. We'll have the whatever. And I was so determined just to do it, just to go. And it's like, what even pushed me? Yeah. Right? And so I now am like a few days later, I'm getting ready to go to the airport, and I remember I get to the airport, I don't have the passport. I mean, like, there was all these things that started to happen that was like, okay, you have a point of, the word, and
point
now
of return. So
there's an exit point at some point. You don't have to do this. Yeah. Right? We go back, get the passport. I get on the plane, and I just remember just sitting on the plane in that surreal moment where the flight attendant's talking to me, and it's like, I don't even hear her speaking, like I can't even, it's that outer body experience where you're like, I'm on a plane going to this country that I don't even know. And about to do something that I don't even know what I'm doing. I get out there, and there's two men that I meet, these two guys from Jamaica. Now, here's the other fact. I don't know these dudes.
Oh my God.
I left my home country where I was born. Yeah. My parents didn't even know I left the country.
Oh my God.
To go somewhere. These guys were big dudes, man. I'm 4'11". These guys had to be like 6'2", 6'3". Wow. Big guys.
Wow.
And I'm like, there's people who leave, they go and get their passport, they go to countries to work. Yeah. They never come back home.
Oh God.
Because they either end up in a sex slave or they die or something. Yeah. I go to this place, and by the grace of God, I didn't get raped. Now these guys are, of course, now they're hitting on you and all the things, and they're trying the stuff, but I didn't get raped. Yeah. I didn't get kidnapped. Yeah. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I went and I stayed in a hotel for a couple days, did the shopping. You're living the life, you're spending the money, and then by the end of it, there's nothing. Yeah. Right? I was supposed to be there for a few days. The flight that I was supposed to take to come back was canceled. And I ended up leaving on the day that they were like, don't leave on a Sunday because it's the worst day to leave on. And of course, what day do I leave it on? It's a Sunday. And as I'm going through all the checkpoints, they decide to pull me over and they take me in the back. And the way that they're set up, they're one of those countries where it's like, the guards have them big AK-47 type something, right? So they're there and they've got their guns out, and the guy's like, check her. Pulls me out, they take me to the bathroom, they make me take the clothes off, all the things, they find drugs. And I just remember that there was this, she sounded American, and there was this woman, she says to me, she's like, man, you don't even know what you've done. Like, you don't even know what you've done. You're going to be here for a long time. Oh my God. She's like, you're going to leave here speaking Spanish. I did, by the way. But, like, she was just like, you've just like ruined your life. Like, you have no idea what you've done. Oh. And as they're putting handcuffs on me, I hear the voice of God.
Come on.
I've never heard him speak to me before, but it's the first time I knew God was speaking to me. And he says to me, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you.
Oh, come on.
Right? Now, I did not use that opportunity well. I got very bold and cocky at that moment. I was just like, yeah, fine, you're arresting me and I'm arrested. Fine. Right? But it was like, there was that, I did have that confidence. I didn't feel alone in that moment. I had a peace, although all misused. I came to learn later on. And yeah, so that night I had to stay at the airport because it was getting late, and they didn't have a transport at that moment. So they let me get changed in like one of the guards station, have a shower, all the kind of things, whatever. They processed me and took some of my stuff. They took all my jewelry. I mean, I came there with that jewelry. They stole it all. And yeah, that night they rolled out a cardboard box on the floor in the office of the guards.
Yeah.
And they put a shackle on my foot, and they shackled me to this desk.
Good God.
And it was a hot mess them too, because these people, man, I'm moving, I'm sleeping, I'm tossing and turning. The desk is moving with me. I'm like, I could have escaped, but only because I don't know this country. So like, where am I gonna run? Right? Like, is this necessary? Because it's not holding me. And yeah, the next morning they wake up, and I tell you what, they take the shackle, they put it on my hands. I'm like, this isn't gonna work. I'm like, what did I just get myself into? And of course, you watch on TV, the only thing you know is, where's I need a phone call. I know I'm supposed to get one phone call. That's the first thing you're telling people, right? And I didn't call my parents. I called that same friend. The same friend that nobody wanted to be around. And I just remember she tried to reach out to the guy, and she tried to reach out, and she eventually called my parents. She's like, listen, man, this happened. Y'all need to know. And it was just like everything was like falling apart at home.
Yeah.
The guy had my rental car, was driving around, all sorts of nonsense, the stuff in the car. It was just a mess. Everything was a mess, but everything was like still in the moment, because what happens when you end up in prison is like you're living the same day every day. And you don't see all the things that are happening in the background, but you just see what's around. It's the same thing every day, just different activities slightly happening, and the slight variance, right? So you're almost in like this Twilight Zone situation. And so I the next day I'm transferred to a holding cell, which I was there only for a period of time, because I actually ended up getting into a fight there. That was my first fight there.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so
that,
hold on. In Jamaica, we say you were a bad girl.
Yeah.
Don't mess with me, kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I'm little, but I'm very strong.
Yeah.
I'm exceptionally strong. I can hold my own, right? And that was the thing. Like throughout my time there's times, man, I remember the first time I used to just like to stay quiet. People see me. I used to go out and hang out and other things. People knew me in a certain circle, but there was like one incident where like the whole of Cambridge and Kitchener and everybody then knew me, and it was only because I got into a fight. And I don't go and fight people, right? But I stayed to myself. But this girl was adamant in fighting me, and then I ended up fighting this dude there, and that's what happened. They're like, the security left. They'd be like, if you're my woman, I would beat you in my sleep.
Oh God.
Like, this is like, what is this? I'm just like, the next day everybody knew who I was, and so it's like I was very much a fight. You have to understand, like my dad, I was supposed to be the boy in my family, and my dad, there's 3 of us girls, right?
Yeah.
And so me being the last one, it was like I helped him move the washing machines and the stoves and that.
Yeah.
So I was from a very young age always just very strong, right? Strapped in. So here I am now, like I'm in prison, and I'm like, I'm minding my business. I'm trying to be just cool and calm. Like this room, let me tell you, this holding cell was probably like at best 8x8 room. There was like 20 of us women in there.
Oh, God.
So halfway through the night, half the women came out, and then we would all sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
I got in there was like 6 Jamaican women inside there.
Wow.
Yeah.
For the same thing, roughly?
Everybody was in there for the same thing. Right? Whether they were there from the, for the most part, everybody was in there for the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I go in there now, this girl gives me her spot, but only to know because a lot of the women that were going out into the office space had relations with the cops there.
What?
Okay?
Oh my God.
So it's 5 o'clock in the morning, everybody has to come in at 5 o'clock. I'm there, she's like, get out of my space, kind of thing. So I'm just like, okay, now mind you, I don't speak the English. There's like a Caribbean side to Panama, and then there's like the Spanish side. So some of them do speak English and this kind of thing, like a broken English.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, but I'm on this girl's radar all of a sudden now. I didn't do nothing, but I'm on her radar. So I say, okay, fine, let me just get up and go to my spot. Once again, not my country. So I sit down there. I had to go to the hospital the next day. They do a medical check, all sorts of things. Now, a year before this, I had a last surgery because I had chronic cysts that I was experiencing. And just from laying on the floor, like it was causing issues. But I'm at this medical appointment and nobody's speaking to me. They're talking, the translator's talking. but no one has said a word to me yet, and they're just giving, oh, you're good, and they send me home. They haven't looked at me, they haven't talked to me, nothing. I was upset. I get back and now I'm just angry of the whole situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like here I am in this situation. Haven't talked to nobody, haven't seen the embassy yet, nothing. And now I got this girl coming for me. And I remember coming back from the hospital, and it was a few times since she come back and she's like hitting you in the face, doing all this kind of thing, and I was just like, okay, I'm trying to hold myself down. And I see the other women, they're like, no man, if we got your back, we have your back, all the kind of thing. Man, I got into that fight. By the last time she did it, I was done. And when I said I went off. And I can hear them in the background. She's like, what? I thought you said you were gonna help her. She's like, well, she doesn't need help. Right? But it set the tone now.
Yeah.
They took me out of the cell. Like the guards came in, they're like, yo man, what was that? Like even even the police were just like, what was that? Kind of thing. They were taken aback. So now I'm the risk.
Oh,
they see me as the risk, they send me to another holding cell. And this girl, like this is the thing about the Panamanian prisons, there's whole families in there sometimes. Wow. Like it's when you talk about generational curses, So a sister could be there, an auntie's there, a whole family could be in there. Now her sister's in there, her sister's in a gang. So the whole thing is, okay, you're going there, they're ready for you.
Yep.
Right? I'm like, my God, because I did win that fight. So Peter. Lord have mercy. So so now it's everyone else weeks they're in this now different cell, and I mean now I'm just in a cell. It's a smaller cell with just 3 bunk beds, and I remember by this time I didn't eat nothing. It had been weeks, days. I didn't eat nothing because the food's coming. They give you these containers, and it's just like, you know, the white styrofoam containers. You open it and you're seeing it was cassava, just a dry piece of cassava. Right? And by this time I don't know nothing. My parents wasn't cooking the cassava like that. Like what was I gonna do with it, right? And it was just that and a piece of ham, or that and a piece of, and I was just like, I remember that day I was just like, oh man, I don't care what's in there. I'm so hungry now that I'll just eat whatever. Because everything else came, but it was like cold food or like hot dogs, some kind of mix up something. They didn't even give you spoon. So you learned to take the corner of the box and use that as a spoon.
Wow.
You would break the corner of it so that it had a dip in it, and you would use that and feed yourself. Okay, all the food they're giving you, like there was like pieces of plastic because they just cut up the thing and you can just see. Those, But I just remember getting that and I was like, my God, I can't even eat. Sometimes they would have this thing called ojalda, which is like almost like a fried dumpling, right? But it was just flatter that they make it. So you're praying that would come that day, right? Just at least something you could put in your belly. But I was there for a couple of weeks, and then finally they come and get me, and they bring me, and I'm thinking I had no idea what was going to happen. But then I got transferred to another facility, and then I connect back with all the women I saw back in the other place. I was like, okay, so we're back together again. At least someone else that speaks English. And then we get to what we would consider as a federal prison, right? And even there they have a section that's called preventiva, and that's like more cells. Now these are once again like 6x6 cells. There's anywhere from 4 to 8 women in there, and we're sleeping on the floor. And I mean, so there's cockroaches and all sorts of insects and mice and everything that's running around. You're on the floor and they're running around there with you. And the cell that I got put in was a group of women who are fasting and praying.
Hey, come on. Come on, girl, talk to me.
Right? So I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna do it. I don't know what this is, but I'm like, I'm about it. So I start fasting and praying. And in that area, like you weren't allowed to go outside unless you had to go to medical or to the church, and that was once a week. So every Tuesday, the church, there was a group of women that came from the States, and one came from Canada, and so they would come and they would minister to us. That was when I got my first Bible. Okay, and I start to go to this service, and I'm starting to learn about Jesus. And I tell you, because I was seeing things, like I'm there and I'm seeing shadows moving down the hallway and all sorts of things. You're seeing people having all sorts of manifestations and all sorts of because this is a place where by the time you get to the next side where we're in houses and you're seeing the green space, you're digging up, you're out there, they're doing landscaping, they're finding jars with bones and people naming it and all sorts of obia thing, all sorts of witchcraft they're doing on the ground. So I'm already seeing things. I remember by this time I start having phone calls and stuff like that. And so as I'm doing now, having phone calls, calling back to my family, I'm trying to call this guy because I'm like, you know, they're going to help you. They're going to get you help. You get a lawyer, do all this kind of thing. probably 3 weeks in, and all of a sudden I'm calling and every phone is shut off. Every contact that I have for this man, I can't. And you know what? It was the first time I ever had a panic attack and didn't know what I was experiencing. So for a long time I started to have anxiety, panic attacks. I didn't even know. I had no clue that's what I was experiencing. I just felt like all of a sudden heat and pins, like pins all over my body. But that anger came back again. That intense anger started to come back, and I was probably in Preventiva for about 3 months, where most people would be there for a month, because I was starting to fight guards and everything. Like I was just angry because I felt like I was abandoned. Right? And I was trying to grapple with the reality of what I was in and what was happening, and not knowing how to do it in a good and fruitful way. I was still going to church, I was still learning, I was still doing all these things, but I was so new to it. It was all new to me. And eventually I would start to calm down and sort through some of my stuff little by little, the more that I was going to church. And once again, there was a person that I met there that would lead worship, and we connected. And so she did her time actually in the States. And so she kept visiting me. She kept coming back and visiting me, and she was actually a catalyst of getting food in, because in this prison they would bring food in, but it wasn't good food. We used to actually see them on the news where they would be like, lizards are in the food and this and that, the food's rotten, all this kind of thing, and then they bring it still same way to the prison.
Oh God.
So and if you needed anything, they're not even a mattress on the bed. So there's no toilet paper, there's no mattress, there's no washing soap, there's no toothpaste, there's no toothbrush, there's nothing. You have to get it brought in for you. So by the grace of God, I meet this person now. My parents are able to send them money. They're bringing things in for me. Not if there's people living in that country that don't have that.
My God.
I went there and I met women that were from England, that were from the States, that were from Jamaica, people that their whole life, they had been there for 8 years deep. Left their kids in there, all sorts of things. I saw people lose their minds inside that place. There was a woman from Jamaica, her name was Dolores. She left her son to go and do this thing, gets caught and is there, and she's working, trying to work to send money back, working, trying to work to do things, because her son was disabled and she left him in Jamaica. One of the women that was in the holding cell where I met them, she ends up dying within the first several weeks that we're there. She's diabetic and doesn't have the medication that she was supposed to have. She left and she never went back. Why me? Why me? Because I got there, spent 2.5 years where I met women that came who had already been there 2.5 years and hadn't been to court yet.
Wow.
You understand me?
Ooh.
But yet I had got there, I went through the court system, and then went back home in 2.5 years. And in that first year of there, after leaving Preventiva, being there for 3 months, I finally get transferred over to where I'm in the house now. And another church is coming in, meeting with us regularly. They start bringing us little packages, washing soap and thing that we need. And within that year, I get baptized.
Let me ask you something, because I laugh at the humor of God. That in the midst of all of this mess, God chooses to create something beautiful. But what was going through your mind in the initial stages? You're looking at, this is nice you, as we would say in Jamaica, to this is now you in this hot mess, as we would say. What was going through your mind at first? Did you have regrets? I mean, you put on the bold face, but did you have regrets? Did you say, why didn't I listen? Did you have regrets?
Yeah. I think I went through the stages of grief. I can attribute it to that. In a sense, you go through anger, you go through depression, you go through all of these different things. Right? And I had to go through all these stages, and then sometimes you come right back to the top of that and you come back to anger again. And so, there was these moments where you're just like, man, okay, like, how did I get here? But as I came to know Christ and really know Christ and start to get that foundation going, I started to understand who I was as I came to know Him.
So God needed to pull you away from the noise. Because had you stayed in Canada, you had all these different people surrounding you, an environment that was fueling you. And God needed to pull you away from it. God, I'm getting so much goose. It's not even funny. God had to pull you away.
Yes.
And not only just pull you away from a country, from a people, he pull you away from a country, locked you away in a place where some of the people didn't even speak your language, so that you could hear him.
Yeah, literally. when it talks about be still and know that I am God.
Yeah, right?
He did it on a whole nother level.
Right? Locked up, but yet it was the place where you could find him. Now, what do you think made you so supple, so open to hear him?
I got to the end of myself.
Oh, God.
I got to the end of myself. And that idea of hitting rock bottom, it was beyond rock bottom. I couldn't get myself out of this. No one could have got me out of this situation but God. And even if it was like, okay, well, someone can pay for a lawyer or you can go to court. People were facing 8 or longer years.
Yeah.
There was no guarantee at that point to even know that I would be able to leave the country before serving that time. I couldn't get myself out of that.
Yeah.
And so you have to make a decision at that point now to surrender or, because every day would just be horrible. And I seen people in there. There's people you're watching, they're trying to take their lives. There's people that are seeing the demons that are attacking them every day because of the things that they have done. They didn't get the same relief and peace that I found in there. And that was the thing. It didn't change. What ended up happening while I was there for that 2.5 years, it wasn't that anything around the space changed. I changed.
Yes.
I changed.
Yes.
And so then as a result of that, I saw joy. There was good that started to come. There was laughter. There was peace. There was understanding. As frustrating as it can be to sit and wait for someone when there's lines of people and you got 3 bathroom stalls, there was joy. There was joy in the midst of the storm when he says that weeping endures for a night, but joy comes. It's true. His words are true. And that's what I saw, his word come to life.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm gonna pause this here, because there's so much coming out and I really want you to get all of it. So this is going to be part 1. We're going to go into part 2. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to continue. So make sure that you've like, comment, share, you name it, whatever. Let me know. Again, guys, are you feeling what's coming from here? I can tell you right now where we are, I feel lit. So until next week, guys, remember, Uniquely Me is definitely uniquely. Thank you for tuning in to Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Remember, Uniquely Me is uniquely you.
Uniquely me is uniquely you. Balancing the different hats of life. Achieve